Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Data here with breaking news in the National Hockey League. About an hour late, sadly, full-time job exists, but Artemi Panarin has been traded from the New York Rangers, a trade that we've been waiting for and has finally gone now just before the Olympic break and the roster freeze that came in, as Panarin has been traded at 50% retained from the New York Rangers to the LA Kings in exchange for prospect Liam Greentree and 2 conditional draft picks, a conditional 2026 third, which becomes a second if the Kings win one round in the postseason, and a 2028 fourth that only happens if the Kings win 2 rounds. So at worst, the Rangers get Liam Greentree and a third. At best, the Rangers get Liam Greentree, a second, and a fourth. So it'll depend on how things go in the 2026 NHL postseason. I know it's a bit late, but I want to make sure I got it live just to say that we did it. We could discuss it because it's such a huge trade. So again, at best, the Rangers get Liam Greentree, a second, and a fourth for trading Artemi Panarin, and worst case, they get Liam Greentree and just a third. So what is this value the Rangers get back? Rangers fans obviously disappointed that it wasn't more, but taking into consideration the no-move clause that he had and the situation that he wasn't going to re-sign, there's only so much you can do with a guy who you can only trade to a certain number of teams and won't be re-signing. We do know that other teams had some interesting offers in place. Maybe not offers, but at least conversations, as the New York Rangers had spoken to the Sharks about Will Smith and to the Capitals about Ryan Leonard. And they come away with Liam Greentree, still a good prospect, but in a completely different tier. So it seems as though the Rangers felt the pressure not only of the ticking clock, but of the roster freeze before the Olympic break. They wanted Will Smith. They wanted Ryan Leonard, and they come away with Liam Greentree. So patience paid off for the LA Kings here. I don't know how desperate the Rangers were getting necessarily. They still get good value, but not quite the value of a Will Smith or a Ryan Leonard. Now, who are those players? We'll talk about, who is Liam Greentree? We'll talk about him a little bit later on. But first off, for Artemi Panarin, what a pickup this is for the Los Angeles Kings, a team that has been teetering a little bit as Kopitar with injuries. He's about to retire. Byfield's not taking that next step. They've committed a lot of money to Kempe. Drew Doughty hasn't been so hot either. What's going to happen with their goaltending after Darcy Kemper? They were needing a bit of a spark like this to keep themselves from going into a full-on rebuild. They traded away Philip Deno, who wasn't doing so hot. They now have brought in Artemi Panarin. They still have a good team in Los Angeles, don't get me wrong, especially in such a weak Pacific division, but they needed a little something for the next, not just this year or for multiple seasons, but for this short term next 2 to 3 years. And they get that here in Artemi Panarin, who over the last 3 years, according to weighted average data, is in the 99th percentile in the NHL among forwards, 94th percentile of even strength offense, 29th of defense, 95th of goals, 87th of primary assists, very efficient on the power play in the 96th percentile. The finishing, one of the best in the league at 99th percentile, 83rd for drawing penalties, plays against pretty high levels of competition with high levels of teammates, always playing those first line minutes in New York. As you can see, his value has dipped in terms of his wins above replacement in just a tad, but when you consider that it's mostly due to the finishing, it makes sense. The offense, very slight decline. Defense has been what it's been. It's the finishing that's gone down a little bit, and even with the finishing in 25-26 dipping below the 75th percentile, he is still, over the last 3 years, in the 99th percentile. It tells you how strong those last couple seasons were, even if this one wasn't as great. Ken Holland Masterclass, never thought I'd say it, but here you are saying it. Hobbsy, welcome to the stream. So Artemi Panarin, as described here by Jay Fresh, is an elite playmaking winger, incredibly patient and deceptive with the puck, one of the best east-west passers in the game, an excellent goal scorer, and deadly in transition, despite his lack of foot speed. Also, this blurb on Panarin from when Jay Fresh ranked him the fourth best winger in the NHL entering the season. His consistency and status as one of the game's premier playmakers is maybe best represented by the fact that he's led his team in points for 8 straight seasons, by far the longest active streak in the league. Even as the team around him seriously floundered in 24-25 and his teammates forgot how to finish or for long stretches of the campaign, he was still one of the most dangerous offensive players in the league and continued to flex the goal-scoring prowess he discovered the year before. So imagine this now in a better environment in Los Angeles. Is it that much better? That's for you to decide. His best asset is his offensive awareness, which combined with his nearly unmatched patience with the puck and creative problem-solving ability leads not only to plenty of passes to the slot, but goals from distance, as well as the few extra handles he makes before showing his cards to keep defenders and goalies guessing. So now this team in Los Angeles that's been struggling finishing-wise, give Kevin Fiala and Artemi Panarin, give Quinton Byfield and Artemi Panarin. I wonder how that works out. Finally, his physical tools aren't exactly staggering considering he's undersized, very slow, and one of the least physical players in the league, but that only makes it more impressive how thoroughly he controls the game. So when looking at his projected 25-26 rank ratings, this is not what he's done. This is what he was projected to do in 25-26. Puck battles, body checks, forechecking, no, none of that. But expected goals for impact, perimeter shots, finishing touch, transition workload, transition passes, transition offense, a lot of things that you need to have on a championship contending or even playoff contending team like the LA Kings are looking forward to having. So incredible numbers here on Artemi Panarin. Here's how he looks again in the JFresh card at this time. And when you consider his just point production, coming over as an undrafted player in 15-16, he's still been chasing that cup after winning the championship in the KHL in 2015. He's been close. He's had the Rangers in 22, of course. And he has scored 927 points in 804 games, over 600 assists in just over 800 games. Premier playmaker in the NHL, but also again that finishing touch. He has scored 49 goals. He has scored 30+ goals. 4 times? He can do it. And this year was on pace for above 30 again. He's above point per game, 57 and 52. And now a guy that the Rangers signed, he was supposed to be the big guy. Well, he was the big guy, but he was supposed to be that piece the Rangers needed to get that cup. They were just finishing off their rebuild. They decided to go through another rebuild, and now he's out. So there goes Artemi Panarin from the New York Rangers. Now at 34 years of age, he is 34 and a half. Still has enough left in the tank to keep on going for the LA Kings. And when you look at his numbers here, he won only the Calder Trophy, really. I thought he's a 4-time All-Star. He is a 15-16 Calder Trophy winner. He has received Hart votes. He's received Lady Bing votes. He's received Selke votes even in the past. And he's having another good season in New York despite the condition of the Rangers. This trade is so bad, it better be the move that gets Drury fired. I hate Drury. Understandably so, I guess, as a Rangers fan. But you also have to keep in consideration that Artemi Panarin had a full no-move clause, so he could totally decide where he was going to go, and it was public information that he was not going to be re-signed. So when you are more than halfway through a season and you know that he's not going to re-sign, and he's only saying, I want to go to this team, or that team, you can really only do so much. Is it underwhelming? Yes. Is it predictable? Yes. Which trade is worse, Panarin for Saad or Panarin for Greentree and picks? True, Panarin, part of another underwhelming trade, as the last time he was traded was with Tyler Mott and a 6th for Saad, Forsberg, and a 5th. And yeah, that didn't work out for Chicago. He did well in Columbus, got his payday with New York, and bada bing, bada boom. So now the question is this trade for a bucket of bolts? Now, is this trade is Liam Greentree of any value to the New York Rangers? I'd say yes, for sure. I've seen some people going as crazy to say he's a fringe NHLer, and I've seen the other extreme to say he's the captain of a Memorial Cup winning team. He's going to be a foundational piece of the Rangers. I don't think that's the case. Let's talk a little bit more about this. So Liam Greentree, looking at this stat card here, this is not the end-all be-all of stats, but he has not, all this to say, he has not been doing as well since his draft year, his draft +1, and now his draft +2 year. So we'll come back to that in a second, actually. Liam Greentree, he's 20 years old. He just turned 20 last month. He was the 26th overall pick of the Kings in the 2024 draft. 119 points in 64 games in 24-25. And this year, still on pace to be above point per game. But his pace right now, let me see this. Let me just calculate quickly. In a 64-game season, he'd be on pace for 85 points. So to go from 90 to 119, then down to 85, it is a bit of a step back for Liam Greentree. We're not going to call him a bust for that, but it is a bit of a step back. You have to be cognizant of that. Is he a Protas merchant? Some people are talking about that. He does have Woodall. He has Belchetz. There's other players on this team. But that 119-point season, was that just because of Protas and his 50 goals? I wonder. Ilya Protas, who's now playing in Hershey. Yeah, looking good for the Capitals. Anyways, I digress. There's Liam Greentree. So now the stat card will tell you possible top 9 forward, as opposed to where it looked like a 25% chance of being a first liner. That's gone down to a 12% chance. Is this chance, the universe telling you the absolutes? No. But his bust percentage, we're not calling him a bust, but his bust percentage has gone from 20% to 47%. But look how quickly things change. In his draft minus 1 year, it was a 72% chance that he'd be a bust. Then it jumps to 20, drops to 22, now down to 47. You want to see some deeper stats, a comparison? Well, let's look at this. Comparing Liam Greentree to someone who's comparable would be Sven Baertschi, legend with the Calgary Flames, right? If you think about his draft year, he was on the NHL East scale at a 35. Same for Sven. His D1 year was a 46. Sven a 49. His D2 year was a 33. Sven was a 39. So there are some comparables there. Did Sven Baertschi have a good career in the NHL? Sure. He ended up scoring 138 points in 292 games. He had some solid seasons with the Vancouver Canucks, but did he live up to the hype of a 13th overall pick? No, not quite. Could Liam Greentree be going down a similar path right now? That is possible. It does look more and more solid he'll be an NHLer, from a 53% chance to 68 to 70 now in D2, his 70% chance of being an NHLer. But his star probability has continued to drop. It was never that high, but it is dropping. His NHLer probability is high. So Liam Greentree, I see him as a middle 6 guy. More likely top 9, third line, but a middle 6 ceiling probably. Byron Bader saying Liam Greentree for Panarin is fine. He's the Kings' best prospect, but quite a bit of regression in a league he should be absolutely dominating at this point. Don't love that. Panarin has been over a point per game every season with the Rangers. Probably should have come with a first rounder as well. So it wasn't Greentree in a first. The Kings still keep their picks. That's crazy. The Kings still have all their firsts. So there must have been some leverage here where other teams weren't giving them what they wanted and the Rangers had to make this happen quickly. That's what I think, because they get no first. So remember, best case scenario with these conditional picks, these conditional third, conditional fourth could become just a third, or it could become a second and a fourth. So best case, the Rangers get Greentree a second and a fourth. Worst case, Greentree and a third. So no first coming with Artemi Panarin. And Greentree isn't a guarantee. No, he is going to be, I would think, a third liner at worst, middle sixer at best. But it's still not a guarantee for Liam Greentree. Liam Greentree is a volume shooting finisher who has at least muted the concerns about foot speed since his draft year, says Cam Robinson. Despite his size, he doesn't often play like a prototypical power forward. He will drive hard to the net, though. Look at it. Oh, I opened the tweet, but I promise I hadn't even read it. I promise you I hadn't even read it. A likely top 9 guy with top 6 upside. I don't know if you'll believe me, but I promise I did not read this. Why aren't I on TSN? Anyways, no way that Drury couldn't get more at the deadline. I don't know about that, Lacton. I don't know about that. Could get more? Yes, I agree. But how much more is worth the risk? Now, if he's going to, you can't keep him scratched till the deadline and get more. But if you're going to play him, could you have gotten more at the deadline? I would think so. But if it comes down to the deadline, and other teams are saying, listen, we got to make other trades, and it comes down to just only 2 teams can trade for him, I wonder if it wouldn't have been comparable or even less. That being said, if there was still 6 teams interested and Panarin was still playing and he got to the deadline, yes, even with the no movement clause and that he was going to not be extended, I think you could have gotten more. But I think that the Rangers were feeling the pressure. They committed to not playing him. Only certain teams were in. Sharks said no for Smith. Capitals said no for Leonard. Could it have been more? I think so. Could it have been much more? It would have been a little bit risky, but possibly. This way, the Rangers get their value locked in. Panarin is gone. They don't need to worry about what happens anymore. Gets injured, out for the year. He goes to free agency. But it's still not as much as you would have wanted. Cheating Heel says, feels far from what Drury said he wanted, which was reportedly similar to Brock Nelson's return. Wonder why he rushed to trade him. Yeah, this is what I wonder about more. If they needed to make a rush deal, then this makes sense. But what's the rush? See what I'm saying? If they needed to rush it, then I understand this is an okay-ish return. But why do they have to feel so rushed? Was Panarin refusing to play? I don't know. At least wait until after the Olympics. If a big name gets injured there, a team might have panic overpaid. Yes, well said. And again, as we just saw earlier, they were asking the Sharks for Will Smith. They were asking the Capitals for Ryan Leonard. And they come away with a prospect who, yes, was a former first-round pick, but is likely going to be a top 9 guy, third liner, maybe middle 6 upside. And I don't know if the Rangers can really build around a guy like that. Is he going to be a good complementary piece? Absolutely. But is he really a guy you're going to build around? Not so much. So now the Rangers in total have 2 firsts, a second, 3 thirds, no 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th in 2026, and that additional second in 2028 if the Kings win 2 playoff rounds. But it might turn into 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 1 third, or worst case, 2 firsts, 1 second, 3 thirds. They still have 1.8 million cap space. They can still do a lot here. If Trocheck moves out, you got to think that the return is going to be a lot more interesting. Only a 12-team no trade. 3 more years at just $5.625 million. A return on Vinny Trocheck has to be big. It has to be a big return for Vinny Trocheck. I saw reports saying Panarin only wanted to go to LA because it's a big city and market. So, and like we signed the Rangers, if that's the case, I only want to go to Los Angeles. You're not playing me until I get traded. Play me. I want to go to the Kings, and the Kings know it. They could just wait out the Rangers. We're giving you Greentree and maybe a second and a 4th, worst case a 3rd today. You wait longer, we're going to give you less. You wait even longer than that, and something else happens, we'll get him in free agency. Depends what the conversations were like behind the scenes. But yes, so the Rangers still have a lot of work to do. If they want to get value, they can get value for Trocheck. I don't know if they're going to want to trade out a guy who's 23 and under, like a Will Cooley, but there's still value to be had here for the Rangers, who are still locked into 4 more years of $7 million on Gavrikov. Sorry, no, until 2032. What am I saying? What am I saying? They're still locked into like the 6 more years on Gavrikov. They're still locked into the 5 more years on Will Borgen. There's still a lot of issues for the New York Rangers to work out. Sadly, for Rangers fans, there's still a lot more issues. This was just the first domino to fall, and now we'll see where it goes from here. The LA Kings, on the other hand, now have to say, okay, we're getting serious here. Danault was out. Kopitar's on his way out. Kevin Fiala needs someone. Byfield needs some support. And at 50%, that still leaves the Kings with $3.1 million in cap space. They have all their firsts. They still have a lot of seconds and thirds. They can still do a lot more. Yeah, Greentree is not a player that you would build a franchise around. This retool just turned into a rebuild. Instead of getting a high prospect and a high pick, or even, you just got a decent prospect and a mid pick. So you got to hope that the return for Trocheck has to be a lot bigger than this. LA needed goal scoring ASAP, though, which helped move things along. True. So the Kings said, listen, we're giving you Greentree and a 2nd and a 4th, or worst case, a 3rd. Now we need help. You wait longer, we'll find help elsewhere, or our price tag goes, whatever, a lot of conversations that you can never know about. But it was a mix of, we need Panarin now and you want to move him now, so let's just get this done. If they want more goal scoring, we have a shiny Patrick Laine to offer. Ooh, yes, definitely more of a rebuild now, says Hobbsy. That they would think that you would want them to be, and yes. So the Kings still have $3.1 million in cap space. When you think about their depth chart, if you scroll here, so now your first line becomes Panarin when healthy, Panarin, Kopitar, Kempe. That's great, Kempe, and his production, no problem. If you look at Adrian Kempe, who can I look at? Sorry, Brant Clark. 25, 26. Kempe, 20 goals, 45 points on the year right now. Last year, 73. The year before that, 75. So he has that potential to be a 35-plus goal scorer, 41 goals. Give him Panarin as a playmaker. Give Kopitar someone to enjoy life with again. And then hopefully, down the road, he's just signed a 2-year extension. He can play with, whether it's Laferriere playing center or Byfield playing top-line center. Hellenius is going to be in there as well. Actually, no, I'm thinking Hellenius in Buffalo. Anyways, Corey Perry is going to be gone. Kuzmenko is getting a little bit older now. He's only 30. But your future top 6 is a mix of future as in next year. Panarin, Moore, Kempe, Byfield, Fiala, maybe Laferriere. Then your bottom 6 is Perry still going to be there? Is Armia still going to be there? There's more questions to be had. Defense is where there's a bit more of a struggle. Brant Clark is continuing to take that next step. Drew Doughty is struggling. Who else is here in Los Angeles? Not that much in the system, I have to say. We just looked at the draft history a second ago here. The Kings and their draft history, nothing that crazy in the system, if I remember correctly. There's Jack Hughes, the other Jack Hughes. Henry Brustowicz, yeah, he's there as a defenseman. Anyone else who stands out? Carter George is a goaltender. Zemer, maybe. I don't have a great grasp on all the Kings prospects, I have to say. They traded Brock Faber in that Kevin Fiala deal. So anyways, who's unsigned? Yeah. So that they moved one of their top prospects, not a great one, but one of their top prospects, and they're going to be hoping that that does something for their production because things haven't been great for the Kings. The Rangers now, their lineup continues as normal without Artemi Panarin in it. We said Boston was going to rebuild after last deadline, and look at them now. True, very true. Looks like they needed more of a center and D-man than they needed Panarin, but we'll see how it goes. Fully agree. I was just thinking that too. But when you think about the production that he brings, you can put Byfield as his centerman and throw him on the wing, and he'll do that playmaking, and Byfield can do that more puck driving type of thing, perhaps. But still a lot to work out for the Kings, a ton to work out for the Rangers, but still a lot to work out for the Kings. That they get him extended is also huge when you think about the price tag as well. Nothing too crazy. 11 million is about what you would think for a guy who's 34. He'll be 34 and a half. So 2 years at 11 million. You would think that he still has a couple years in him after that as well. And there you go. So there's Liam Greentree. And now in the Rangers system, Kings, Rangers, that's what they're asking for. It's comparable to Sven Barcy, perhaps. There's the Artemi Panarin graphic, and we'll probably leave it off there. Hobbsy says, I like that it's only 2 years for LA2. It's not long-term for an aging player, though I expect he'll still be fine throughout the duration. True as well. Yeah, so it's big money. It's solid dollar amounts, but nothing that's ridiculous for the Kings. They'll have Kopitar expiring. They're going to have money available. They could be big players in free agency. It's not always by trade and draft. Those are two big ways. But the Kings can be major players in free agency. We're going to have money. Let me just look at this very quickly. The Kings are going to be able to say Kopitar $7 million is gone. He's not coming back. Kuzmenko 4.3 question mark. Corey Perry likely gone and not coming back. So if you take their current cap space, 3.1 million, add 7 million to it, we're at 10.1. Added a couple million here, that's 12.1, 16.4. So we're talking close to 17 million for probably a new top six, a new bottom six, and maybe you go out and get a defenseman. But if you can spend 8-9 million on one big name and then use your remaining 6-7, no pun intended, million on a couple other complementary pieces, that's amazing. Yes, New York retaining 50% right now, which allows the Kings to have the money that they do to maybe make other acquisitions, and they have the draft picks to make it happen. They still have all their firsts in the next 3 years. They have a bunch of their seconds, a bunch of their thirds. The Kings are poised to make themselves stronger. Now, will Ken Holland do that, or will this be the one move and he'll cross his fingers? The Kings have the window here. They have the framework to be serious contenders. It's a weak division. The window is open for the LA Kings. They just made a big move. Now they need to seize that. They can't just make that one move and think life is good. Now, for the Rangers, that better have been just the situation of it all. You need to get, welcome Jeremy, you need to get a massive return for a guy like Vinny Trocheck and anyone else that you're trading. You need to squeeze that first. You need to squeeze those prospects. Who do the Rangers really have in their pool? Again, I have to think about their prospect pool. I haven't really thought about it. Brett Berard, meh. Guerin as a goalie. That's not Ryan Rubrick. No, that's not Ryan Rubrick. That's a different Rubrick. They have Greentree now. They have Spence. Yes, that's true. EJ Emery. I'm probably missing a few guys that I'm just glossing over right now, but just thinking about a few names that come to mind. They don't have the most fantastic prospect pool. Kevin says, hey, Data, I really want to start a 26 franchise, but I'm worried about getting decently realistic sims. I have no idea what to do settings-wise. Tried using sliders and settings in 25, but it was impossible. That's a question that takes such so much trial and error to see what's good, what's not good. I try not to break my head too much over it. Simulation is going to be it's the same across for everybody. It's not like McDavid scoring 150 points and no one else is. I would say you got to go to high scoring, maybe high scoring, low shooting. But I wish I had the perfect answer for you. So I remember this last season in Detroit in our franchise mode series. I think there's only 4 or 5 100+ point scorers. It's frustrating. I wish there was a perfect answer. Do this and do that to your sliders, but it takes experimentation. It takes time, and even then, it might not be a perfect formula. That's what I would say, Kevin. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's the trade between the Rangers and the Kings. Artemi Panarin going to LA, 50% retained with a 2-year extension at $11 million. The Rangers get Liam Greentree, a top 9, middle 6 kind of prospect. At best case, they also get a 2nd and a 4th. And worst case, they get just a 3rd. The Kings playing in a weaker Pacific Division. That should help them to at least win one round of the playoffs. We'll see where things go from there. But there you have it. 2 teams that have a lot to work out in their future. A wild deal. Yes, sadly, it had to happen during full-time work, but c'est la vie. And there you go. So subscribe and hit that bell for all the breaking news and analysis in the NHL as the trade deadline gets closer. More trades coming soon, and a big sweepstakes contest coming soon for the Olympics. A contest that could win you an Olympic jersey. Yes, an Olympic jersey. So subscribe, get the notifications. That contest is coming soon. We'll be live later tonight as well with our MLB The Show 26 franchise mode series with the Toronto Blue Jays. We're live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays here on the channel. A lot more coming your way in February, including that Olympic content. Roster update on PlayStation 5 with the Panarin trade will have to happen as well. And I'll leave you there, everybody. Thank you very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments here or in the Discord server, link in the description. Who do you think wins this trade and why, taking all that into consideration? Rangers fans, Kings fans, I want to hear from you. And Kevin, you know what? Let's talk more about this, Kevin. I don't know if you're in the Discord or leave a comment. We'll talk more about this. Thank you very much. And the Olympic mini challenge in the Discord server as well. Challenge mini game, get in there for that. Link in the description. That's where the news broke first for this trade. Thanks for being here. Have a great evening. We'll talk soon. What a trade, shaking up the National Hockey League. Where will it go from here? I'm excited to see. So thanks for being here and have yourselves a great rest of your evening.